worldviewgold.com, or just text Wes and give him your name and address and say, I want the free packet. That's all you got to do. 602-558-8585. 602-558-8585. Tonight on the Worldview Report, with air travel bogged down with mounting flight cancellations, Senate Democrats on Sunday began to fold, agreeing to advance legislation that would end the government shutdown. That's bad news for Chuck Schumer. President Trump says most Americans will receive a dividend payment of at least $2,000 paid out of U.S. tariff revenues. But some in his administration say that could come in a number of forms. More horror stories of how free speech is being cracked down upon in the United Kingdom. Europe continues to be on edge over mystery drone sightings threatening airspace and commercial aviation traffic at key transit hubs. And what about the 50-year-old mortgage? Is it really the answer to our nation's housing woes and disappearing American dream? We'll look into it. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brandon House. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brandon House.
Good evening, and welcome to the Worldview Report. Leading off tonight, as we know, air traffic is under great strain due to the government shutdown, and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. But now a handful of Senate Democrats are flipping. This happened on Sunday, and they voted with Republicans to advance a package of bills that would end the impasse without funding subsidies for Obamacare. In the wake of Sunday night's capitulation, some Democrats are turning on their leader. According to a report in the Washington Times, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is in hot water with his party. That's after Sunday's bipartisan deal that is expected to end the government shutdown sometime later this week. Schumer is voting against the deal, but his failure to prevent others in his caucus from surrendering on the demand of health care is leading some party members to call for his ouster. Representative Ro Khanna, a California Democrat, said on social media, quote, Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? End quote. Democrats, they wanted to add an extension of enhanced Obamacare premium subsidies that are set to expire this year. They wanted to add that to the government funding bill. Republicans, on their part, well, they have agreed to hold a vote on that issue only after the government is reopened. 8 Senate Democrats, they agreed to the GOP offer to hold a vote on the health care subsidies in the second week of December. Other Democrats believe the vote is a red herring and Republicans won't let it pass. Schumer said in his statement opposing the bipartisan deal that Democrats will continue to fight to ensure millions of families don't lose their health care coverage. He said this, quote, make no mistake about it. The American people know who is inflicting this health care trauma on them. Donald Trump and the Republicans, end quote. That's what he said. And then he added, quote, Americans will remember Republican intransigence every time they make a sky-high payment on health insurance, end quote. The spending package to reopen the government through January will still take a few days to process through both chambers. President Trump on Sunday announced that most Americans would receive a dividend payment of at least $2,000 paid out of U.S. tariff revenues. Here's what he wrote on Truth Social, quote, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone, end quote. And then he added that tariffs have brought in trillions of dollars and that 401k accounts are the highest ever. He also claimed that the tariffs had caused no inflation, adding that, quote, people that are against tariffs are fools, end quote. The Treasury Department said in September that it had collected more than $195 billion from tariffs in 2025. while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he expects the U.S. to collect $500 billion or more in tariff revenue annually. On Sunday morning, Bessent told ABC This Week that the administration's goal with the tariffs was to rebalance trade rather than simply take in revenue. But before you get your hopes up about a $2,000 check coming in from the government, listen to what Bessent suggested regarding the various forms that the $2,000 dividend could come in. Watch this.
The $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
Secretary. Europe continues to be on edge over mystery drone sightings threatening airspace and commercial aviation traffic at key transit hubs. And now there are further plans for a greater military response. The United Kingdom is sending military equipment and personnel to Belgium following fresh incidents in the country which have impacted travel at two major airports. One Politico headline from last week said, quote, "Drones plague Belgium," end quote. British Air Chief Marshal Richard Knighton, he said Sunday that the military has agreed to, quote, "deploy our people, our equipment to Belgium to help them," end quote. That was after a formal request for help from Belgian authorities. Knight said, quote, "We don't know, and the Belgians don't know yet, the source of those drones, but we will help them by providing our kit and capability, which has already started to deploy to help Belgium," end quote. And while Knighton admitted that the source of the drones remains unknown, he did name Russia as having conducted a pattern of hybrid warfare in recent years. Maybe it is Russia. But one thing's for sure. Regardless of who the culprit is, the Europeans are going to blame Russia. You can be sure of that. A church leader in the UK says police warned him that he may face a criminal investigation because a Bible verse was displayed on the back of his camper van and could be treated as hate speech. As noted by Slay News, the story is yet another chilling example of how Britain's crackdown on free speech and religious expression has gone. Pastor Mick Fleming, he runs an independent church and an anti-poverty charity in Brunley. He said he was approached by a police officer at a gas station on October 27th. The officer warned Fleming that the scripture on his vehicle might be considered hateful if viewed, quote, "in the wrong context," end quote. Are you ready for what the verse is? Well, it was John 3:16, one of the most widely known Bible verses in the world. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." That's the verse. And according to Fleming, the officer tapped him on the shoulder, quietly issued the warning. The officer allegedly cautioned him that if anyone complained, police would be forced to investigate and he, quote, "could end up in trouble," end quote. That's what Fleming said about the exchange. And he said it left him stunned. Quote, "I just thought, wow, I just wondered what people thought. Where have we moved to as a country where a bit of Christian scripture on the back of a van can be seen as hateful or spiteful," end quote. Fleming now lives in the van after giving up his belongings. He posted a video describing the encounter and asked viewers for their thoughts. He says he refuses to remove the verse, adding, quote, "I'm not going to change it. Scripture is not spiteful or hateful," end quote. Well, that brings us to this next story. A 100-year-old British World War II veteran lamented in an interview on Friday that the current state of the United Kingdom is not one that he and his comrades fought for, not during World War II. Alec Pinston, well, he served a very long career in the Royal Navy, having been aboard the HMS Hampia. That was during the D-Day invasion. As people across the British Commonwealth on Sunday commemorated soldiers who died since World War I, Pinstone, he was asked on the TV show Good Morning Britain what the day means to him. And here's how he responded, quote, "My message is I can see in my mind's eye rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today? No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now," end quote. The host asked what he meant exactly by the statement. And here's what he said, quote, "What we fought for was our freedom. We fought for it. Even now, it's a darn sight worse than when I fought for it," end quote. Watch this.
What does Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though, at this point?
What we fought for, and what we fought for was our freedom. We find that even now it's darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought for.
That is it.
And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that can spread the word around.
We will do.
Younger generation.
And I guarantee...
Well, that clip went viral across social media. In fact, I played it on Friday night on Brandon House Live. And many people have commented. They've talked about, well, mass migration and how that has reshaped cities in the United States, in the United Kingdom. The UK, of course, has also been an international source of scrutiny for its hate speech laws, to the point people are, well, encountering police on their doorstep for politically incorrect comments that they made on social media. In August of 2024, one police commissioner even made comments threatening to extradite U.S. citizens to be tried in the UK for breaking their hate speech laws online. Well, that's not a good look for a country that claims to be a beacon of freedom and democracy. We'll be right back after this break. Do you know about glutathione? You can't live without it. It's a naturally occurring ingredient in your body. But guess what? It starts to decrease around the age of 20. You need glutathione. There are over 165,000 studies on glutathione at PubMed. It detoxes your cells. And we know there are toxins everywhere. In fact, studies have shown glutathione may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. Check it out at swishforlife.com. You just put a small 2 caps in your mouth, swish it for about 3 minutes. Then you can swallow it or spit it out. Studies show that this is in your bloodstream within 90 seconds. It's better than an IV. That'll cost you about $250, and it's broken down. But when you swish with it, it is in your body in 90 seconds in its totality. Glutathione, you need it to live. Swishforlife.com. Swishforlife.com. Welcome back from the break. Thanks for being with us and for remembering us in your end of the year giving. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. That's one of our biggest sponsors to help us push out this broadcast absolutely free of charge to people all around, well, America and the world. But not just this broadcast. We bring you many others free of charge. We could put them all behind a paywall immediately, or let them air and then put them behind a paywall immediately. But yet we put them out there for everybody to watch, and then we put them back up online within a few hours at worldviewtube.com. Brought to you in part by our foundation. Don't forget, the foundation helps to sponsor our Sunday night church service, where last night I finished teaching through the book of Revelation verse by verse. Finished last night, Revelation chapter 22, the final chapter. That now makes for 53 one-hour broadcasts teaching through the book of Revelation. And guess what? You'll find them all archived for you to share with family or friends and watch maybe for the first time or watch again at lastdaysstudy.com. 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 Tweet that, text it, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social, whatever it is you do. Let folks know. 53 hours, verse by verse, on the book of Revelation. And it's free. Brought to you in part by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. So tweet that, will you? A lot of people have watched it and been encouraged by the study. I think you will be as well. And I think the stage is being set for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. You can see it as we study the scriptures together. Lastdaysstudy.com. But remember, all of these free programs, well, they're not free for us to produce. We have thousands upon thousands of dollars a month we have to pay in bandwidth and IT bills, not to mention all the other expenses that go with putting out television. Television is very expensive, my friends. So if you appreciate our broadcast ministry and educational service that we offer, we appreciate your support. We thank you for your support. Worldviewfoundation.com. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there as well. And a phone number you can call, leave a voicemail or text, and Melissa, my wife, will get right back to you, helping you to make a contribution over the phone. Remember, we send out tax receipts with our EIN number the first week of February. So the first week of February 2026. Worldviewfoundation.com. Financial and technology writer Shananka Pera has a new Substack article, and it says that the European Union is fast-tracking the most comprehensive reconstruction of its monetary system since the euro's introduction in 1999. He writes, quote, by 2027, a regulatory trinity, cash transaction caps, mandatory cryptocurrency surveillance, and a digital euro prototype will fundamentally alter how 340 million citizens interact with money. The stated objective is combating an estimated 700 billion euros in annual money laundering. The unstated consequences may be the de facto elimination of financial privacy in the world's second largest economy, end quote. Well, he went on to give a comprehensive breakdown of the European plan to replace cash with digital programmable money. While the timeline may differ depending on the country, this is a transformation that's just taking place, and not just in Europe, but globally. The entire world is gravitating toward an all-new economic system based on digital IDs, digital and programmable money, and of course, 24/7 surveillance of all transactions, and it'll be done in real time. As he points out, the new system is being brought into place under largely false pretenses. They say it's to protect us from financial fraud and money laundering. Folks, it's always for our own safety and security, right? Always. Quote, these mechanisms, when operational, will create an unprecedented system of financial traceability, one that European institutions insist protects citizens, but which critics warn could establish infrastructure for comprehensive economic surveillance, end quote. The new monetary system operates through three interlocking components: the elimination of all cash transactions, with paper fiat currency being phased out of existence, and then cryptocurrency identification requirements, which means a biometric digital ID will be mandated for all participants in this new economy. And then finally, a new digital euro that will replace the fiat currency. Folks, it's all being done in typical Orwellian style. Government and financial elites, of course, they're going to bend over backwards to make us believe that privacy and security are the most important concerns, of utmost concern. But here's the reality. It's the opposite. The government will know everything you buy, when you bought it, what you paid, and to whom. This is for the purpose, not of safety and security, but it's a new form of tyranny. where everyone will be assigned a social credit score in this new system of rewards and punishments. It's a system that will be based on standards that will be set by the, environmental wackos, the woke globalist technocrats. So now's the time to fight, folks, not after it's implemented. Worthy News reports that South Korea, long seen as the democratic opposite of its authoritarian-ruled northern neighbor, faces growing scrutiny for what critics call a widening crackdown on Christian leaders and churches. While believers remain largely free to worship, the latest attention of pastors that are viewed as critical of the government, it's increasingly mirroring the practices that are seen in China or North Korea. In the Busan Detention Center, Pastor Son Hoon-bo, he's 62. He's founder and head of Sergei Presbyterian Church. He's been detained for more than 2 months. Son, he's a former Special Forces soldier who built a small congregation into a mega church, baptizing more than 1,000 new believers each year. Pastor Son is reportedly in fair health, but suffering from mold and damp conditions. Pastor, he was a key organizer of the United Korean Church worship event in October of 2024. This was a gathering that, organizers say drew perhaps as many as 1 million people. And it was reportedly the largest Christian rally in South Korea's modern history. He is charged under the Public Official Election Act for allegedly endorsing political candidates during, sermons. He's charged under the Public Official Election Act for allegedly endorsing political candidates during sermons. It's a charge his family says, is made up. It's extortion. South Korea's left-leaning government, they've overseen police raids on several conservative churches and offices of other Christian networks and accused them of political interference as well. Well, now it's time for our nightly Worldview Report commentary. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte on Saturday said that the Trump administration is working on a plan to introduce 50-year mortgages for home buyers. Pulte wrote in a statement on the social platform X, quote, "Thanks to President Trump, we are indeed working on the 50-year mortgage, a complete game changer," end quote. It followed a Truth Social post by the president himself earlier in the day, an image of him next to a picture of former President Franklin Roosevelt. The administration, of course, that oversaw the New Deal that was established and that established also the 30-year mortgage. And that became standard in order to help citizens recover from the Great Depression. Similarly, Trump campaigned on creating affordability for the younger generation last year. But the president, of course, has faced heavy winds on the subject. And more recently, as home prices continue to hold steady at levels, most can't afford. Google searches for help with mortgage, those search terms shot up to their highest levels since 2009, while adjustable rate mortgages, or ARMs, have also been trending. ARMs made up about 10% of all mortgage applications in September. That's the highest, by the way, in nearly 2 years, and well above the post-2008 average of 6%. And that's according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Yet, home prices and interest rates, they remain high, with the median household spending approximately 38.4% of their monthly income on mortgage payments. That's according to the real estate website Redfine. Well, I'm kind of skeptical, folks, when it comes to this idea of the 50-year mortgage. Unless you're a first-time home buyer who is under the age of 30, chances are you will never own your own home outright under a plan like that. It's a long payback schedule, folks. You may end up with more affordable monthly payments, but you're going to pay tens of thousands of dollars more in interest over the life of that loan, even if you live that long. And to me, that sounds like really a new form of you'll own nothing and be happy. You're basically renting the house from a lender. So I'm not so sure I would fall for that. I think President Trump needs to come up with a better solution to the housing problem, don't you? Maybe one that involves getting regulations down. Cut the cost of what it takes to build a house. Get regulation down. You could also maybe do something about lumber prices. Those are just a few quick ideas. We need something. We need to make the American dream available. But I don't think it needs to be a banking scam like a 50-year mortgage. What are your thoughts? I know there are people on both sides of this. I've been reading their feedback throughout the weekend. What are your thoughts? That does it for this edition of the Worldview Report. As always, thank you for tuning in and supporting the broadcast at worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Till next time, I'm Brandon House. May God save America. Take care.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella